Yeah, back with another video. I'm back. Let me take a sip of my coffee here. Hope you guys are all having a good start to your week. I wanted to get this video started by talking about a funny story over the weekend there. Review Tech USA, a lot of you guys know who that guy is. He's a big time news regurgitator in the gaming community. Has almost 1 million subscribers. He live streams almost every night. I logged on to YouTube the other night and his live stream had just begun. There was only like 75 people in there. He's talking about his new webcam and his new microphone that he got. And it sounded fine. And I put in his chat there, "You sound muffled." And the next thing you know, he's like, "What? It's muffled?" And he started playing around with the settings. He's like, "How can it be muffled?" Absolutely trolled him. So, yeah, today's episode, mainly we're going to talk about Cyberpunk 2077, obviously a hot topic. Now, I posted a video 2 days ago, and at least for my little old channel, I consider it a viral video. At the time of this recording, it has over 1,800 clicks. That being said, it is very much the type of video I try to steer away from on this channel. It is kind of like news regurgitation, but it had a little bit of a twist on it. I put in the title, CD Projekt Red needs to apologize to the world. And lo and behold, at least for a brief moment in time, for about a day and a half, when you typed in CD Projekt Red in YouTube, my video popped up right at the top, right at the cream of the crop with all the other big time channels. It was in the top 10. So just to show you how that side of YouTube works. And but I was the only one that really put in the title, CD Projekt Red needs to apologize. Now, I'm not saying I single-handedly changed the world here, but maybe somebody at CD Projekt Red saw my video. I don't know. They came out today, and wouldn't you have it, they formally apologized. And I guess they're offering ways that you can get a refund for this game. It's almost unprecedented. You could go right through Sony and get a refund. Various, points of sale, different channels. So just a huge clusterfuck. Now, I don't want to talk about that too much. One thing I do want to briefly mention too, the guy that's on the front cover of the game, does he not look like Justin Timberlake? But seriously, I want to give first impressions of the game because I finally sat down. I probably should have before I posted that last video, and played the game on the Xbox One X. Now, what I'm about to tell you, it actually might come as a surprise to some of you, but I've had an incredible time with the game. It's probably one of the best games I've ever played. It runs really well, at least for me, with all the patches that have been released. It runs really well on the One X. I'm not having issues so far with the frame rate. The graphics, people, I think, are over-exaggerating it a bit. The graphics are really good in the game, even on the Xbox One X. You can see it. You can see the game is there. Not the finished product, but you know what I mean. The art design, for the most part, what they spent years creating. You can see it when you're walking around in the open world. An example would be when I first got to Night City, and you look up at a skyscraper, and you don't see this too often in video games. You see tall buildings, but it doesn't really sell it that well. Well, in this game, I know it's just a video game, but when you look up at the skyscraper, it feels very similar to if you were on the street downtown in the city that you live in and you looked up to a tall building. It looks really impressive. The city, it has so much. It's so dense. Like there's so much going on as far as the buildings and where you can go and things you can do. Apparently, on the Xbox One version of this game, there's more civilians walking around on the street than on the PS4 version of this game. But all that to be said, yeah, I'm really impressed with the game. When you first boot up the game, you're greeted with this really cringy, kind of like an introduction. Almost seems like you popped in one of those car crashing combat games, Twisted Metal. It's really weird. There's subtitles on the screen. I'm not a big fan of subtitles. So a real weird title screen introduction. You get past that, you get to the player creation process, and I thought that you had to play as V with the yellowed hair, the Justin Timberlake character, but no, you can create your own character, and that's reflective in the game. Thank fucking God. So I tried to create a character that very much looks similar to myself. And yeah, just incredible. I chose the Nomad character, so you start off the game, and you're basically out in the wasteland, out in the country, and then you take off, and you go to this... kind of like I don't know what you would call it, like a power grid or a power building, and or an antenna, excuse me. And it's kind of weird. It kind of breaks the immersion a bit, but he hops the fence and he puts his bare hands on barbed wire. I'm like, that's kind of weird. But these characters in the game are not necessarily human, right? So who's to say? But yeah, I'm about 6 hours into the game, so I'm not too far into it. I got past the part where you meet Dexter Deshawn, and you get in his vehicle and you drive with him, and yeah, I'm having a blast with it. It's absolutely way better than The Witcher 3 as far as I'm concerned, as far as me being involved with my character in this environment. I just love the artistic direction of the game. I get it. The graphics on the Xbox One and the PS4 version aren't obviously what they are on the PC version. But I can still, a lot of times in the game, and not everybody understands this, there's going to be those that are just rushing through the game and they're not seeing the forest through the trees. I like to be able to pull back sometimes and just stare in awe at, the infrastructure of the world and the city and the way that the streets wrap around the buildings and everything that's going on at once. You have to imagine, again, it took years for them to create this world. So you can't just run right through it. You need to stop, slow down, appreciate not necessarily the graphics, but the art direction. And again, the graphics are really good. I was going based on what other people were saying. I hadn't played the game. Yes, there are some instances where there could be a little bit more polish, but for the most part, the graphics are impressive. Like at the beginning of the game, when you're in the vehicle as a passenger, and I love that, how your buddy there, can't even remember his name, he drives a lot and you're the passenger and you're shooting out the window, and the way that the rain is coming down on the window at night, oh my god, it's amazing. Now, as far as glitches are concerned, I've encountered just a few, nothing game breaking. Shortly after you meet Dexter Deshawn, I ended up somewhere in Night City, not far from my apartment, and I walked into, it was almost like a little Chinatown, and there was a guy, he looked like he might have been Vietnamese, and he was playing a guitar, and I walked up to him to talk to him. He said something to me and his lips wouldn't move, so I'm like, what the fuck? So I walk over to like a hot dog stand right next to him, and the woman, I went to talk to her and her lips wouldn't move. And then I walked over to another guy and his lips wouldn't move. And then I turned around and the guy that was playing guitar was still there, but he was no longer Vietnamese. He was a guy wearing like a full-on suit, like a white guy. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? So yes, little glitches like that. My character, he very much has a similar haircut to what I have now. I remember when I first went to sleep in my apartment, when I got up the next morning, I walked up in front of the mirror, and my character now has a bald head. So what the fuck? I don't know if my hair is going to come back or not. So just like little glitches like that. And it's like death by 1,000 cuts. It's like these little glitches. Yeah, it's not the end of the world, but they start to add up after a while because they happen, and you sort of laugh at it. It's like, oh my god. So I think CD Projekt Red over time, I think they can definitely fix the glitches. I hope they continue to work on improving the graphics in the game. Again, people are over-exaggerating. The graphics are pretty good, even on the old generation consoles. Believe me, you have to see it to believe it. Yes, sometimes the colors might look a little washed out. Sometimes the character models might look a little bit plasticky. But for the most part, like the vehicle, the way it moves across the street, across the sand, it looks pretty dang good. And not only that, with the game, it's such a huge game. For that price point that you're paying for the game, yeah, I agree, it should be a finished product. But at the same time, you're not going to get this much in an open world. Like if you bought a Fallout game, a Far Cry game, excuse me, Ubisoft, they spend a year and a half making those games, and then they just pump them out. But yeah, with Cyberpunk, whole different beast. If you're thinking about waiting for the game, you're on the fence about it, I would honestly say if you have a 1X or a PS4 Pro to a lesser extent, jump into it. If you have the base consoles, yeah, probably wait. But I'm not just saying this. I'm playing it on the Xbox One X, and it's running really good, and I'm having a really good time with it. I swear to God, I'm not making this up. It's locked at 30 frames per second, and I haven't had really any game-breaking bugs yet. So right around the 11-minute mark here, I guess we'll cut it off. I'll continue to talk about this game as I get further into it. But like I said, don't believe everything that you hear out there. I would recommend giving it a shot. It's a blast. So the last thing I'm going to say here, thinking about getting a new gamer's chair. I don't want one of those crazy-ass gamer's chairs like Dreamcast guy has or all the rest of them. I want to get something a bit unique. Not a gamer's chair, but I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll get myself a throne. So I'm going to leave it there, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your week. Take care.